Okay, guys, it's time for the start of the Sweet 16 here in May Madness. And the first video to come from that, the first game to be played in round 2, it's going to be the 1975 Cincinnati Reds, who defeated the 2001 Seattle Mariners. And they'll be playing the 1969 Baltimore Orioles, who defeated the 2000 New York Yankees. This game's going to be played at neutral field, of course, because we're not using ballpark effects, because we're not giving anybody a home field advantage. However, the Orioles will be the de facto home team as they get the last at bat. So sit back and relax and get ready for first game of round 2, Sweet 16, the 75 Reds and the 69 Orioles. Okay, we'll run through the lineups very quickly here. In the top of the first, leading off will be third baseman Pete Rose for the Reds. Batting second will be second baseman Joe Morgan. Batting third is first baseman Tony Perez. Catching and batting cleanup is Johnny Bench. Batting fifth will be the left fielder George Foster. Hitting sixth is the right fielder Ken Griffey. And using the designated hitter, we have Merv Retman as the designated hitter. Ironically, Merv Retman is also on the bench for the Orioles in this game. Batting eighth is the shortstop Dave Concepcion. And batting ninth and playing center field is Cesar Geronimo. On the hill for the Reds will be right-hander Gary Nolan. As Don Gullett pitched last game, so is ineligible to pitch in this game. And pitching for the Orioles will be left-hander Dave McNally. In the first round, Mike Cuellar pitched, so he is ineligible. And so the debate Earl Weaver had was McNally or Jim Palmer, but with some of the Reds' better hitters, particularly designated hitter Dan Dreesen being left-handed, decided to go with McNally at this point. All right, we're ready to roll. Pete Rose lead things off here against Dave McNally. He's a switch hitter, batting right-handed. And round 2 is now officially underway. It's a 3-4, so we're under Rose. 3-4 is a ground ball to the shortstop Belanger for out number 1. So 1 away, and that'll bring up Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan with 1 out, and he will face the lefty McNally. Here's the pitch. It's a 4-6, and a 4-6 is off McNally. That's going to be a base hit. That's a single for Joe Morgan. And you know how he likes to run, and so now I'm going to test what I think now is my correct interpretation of stolen bases. So we're going to go ahead and get that going here. And please, if I do it incorrectly, somebody please call me out on it so I can get it right. I've messed it up a couple times, so I'm hoping this time I'm doing it right. But we'll see. The stolen base rating for Joe Morgan is AA. So if we look at the stolen base chart, AA stealer is a 17. Okay, it's a 17. But we've got some reductions to make. And in fact, I need to go get my rule book so I can figure out what the reduction is on a AA. I think it's a 2, but I want to double check it for sure. I'll be right back. Okay, so I was thinking correctly. A AA stealer subtracts 2 from his rating. So we started out on the chart with a 17. He is reduced 2 by the fact he's being held on as a AA stealer. So that drops him down to a 15. Then the final check is the catcher. And the catcher in this case is Elrod Hendricks. And his throwing rating is actually a 0, so he doesn't add or subtract anything to that. So it's just going to be a 1 to 15, which is a pretty good chance here for Morgan. McNally is a -3 hold rating, but in just the advanced rules, the pitcher hold rating is not invoked. So it's a 1 to 15, and Morgan will steal it. It's an 18, so he got thrown out. Elrod Hendricks got rid of the ball quickly and threw him out. Strike to Belanger for out number 2. So Morgan gunned down on that 18 D20 roll. And that'll be 2 outs quickly for the Reds as they thought they had something going here. That'll bring up Tony Perez. Tony Perez with 2 outs and the base is empty. It's a 2-5 against a lefty. 2-5 is a ground ball to Brooks Robinson at third, and the human vacuum cleaner picks that up and throws to first. Inning is over. So through a half an inning, the score is Cincinnati nothing and Baltimore coming to bat. Okay, we'll go through the Baltimore lineup. In the bottom of the first, leading off will be left fielder Don Buford. Batting second will be the center fielder Paul Blair. Batting third will be the right fielder Frank Robinson. Batting cleanup is first baseman Boog Powell. Batting fifth is third baseman Brooks Robinson. Batting sixth and the designated hitter is Dave May. He is a left-handed hitter, and against Gary Nolan, the starter, they want the lefty in there versus Retman, or else Retman would have been DHing for both sides. Batting seventh is Dave Johnson at second base. Hitting eighth and made that good throw on Joe Morgan earlier is Elrod Hendricks as the catcher. And batting ninth is shortstop Mark Belanger. So they will be facing right-hander Gary Nolan. And on the regular season of 75, Nolan was 15-9 with a 3.16 ERA. And just to refresh what McNally did in his 69 season, he was 20-7 with a 3.22 ERA. So Gary Nolan will start things off against Don Buford, switch hitting left fielder. And we'll get the bottom of the first going here. Buford against Nolan. It's a 6-7. 6-7 is a pop out to Pete Rose at third base. So Buford pops out to Rose, out number one, and that will bring up Paul Blair. And yes, I'm still continuing to use the payoff pitch score sheets because I like having those ratings right there in front of me. Here's Paul Blair. It's a 1-6. 1-6 against a right-hander is a split chance. 1-14 is a home run, and 15-20 is a double. So Blair doing some damage early. Let's see if he gets the homer or not. That's off the table. Let's roll it again. It's a 6, and that's a home run. So Paul Blair has just homered off of Gary Nolan, and we've got a 1-0 ball game, just like that. Paul Blair did hit 26 home runs in 1969, so he certainly not only was a Gold Glove fielder with some good speed, but he had the 26 home runs as well. And that'll bring up Frank Robinson. And for Robinson, it's a 6-9 against Nolan. 6-9 is a fly ball to Geronimo in center for out number 2. So 2 down, and that'll bring up the Boog Powell. First baseman Boog Powell. I believe his real name is John, and of course the name Boog just stuck. So let's see here. It's a 6-7. 3-7 off of Boog's card. It's a ground ball to first. So grounds it to Perez to end the inning. But the Orioles, with that home run from Paul Blair, take a 1-0 lead as we go to the second. And that'll bring up Johnny Bench to lead things off against Dave McNally. It's a 4-9. And a 4-9 is a fly ball to Paul Blair in center for out number 1. 1 down, and George Foster, power hitting left fielder, coming to the plate to face McNally. It's a 4-8, so a 4-8 against right-handers. 4-8 is a walk. 4-8 is a walk. All right, 4-8 is a walk. And I think I needed to catch myself. I think I just made a mistake the previous batter. I know I did, actually, if I remember correctly. I can't rewind the video now to find out. But I believe when Bench was batting, I looked off the versus left-handed batter for a 4-9 roll and got a fly to center. It should have been off of the right-handed, facing a right-handed batter. So that's actually a strikeout. So I'm going to get my white out and fix that fly to center to a strikeout to make it correct. Okay, once that dries, I will fill in the strikeout correctly so we know what's going on with that. And the last row, of course, being the 4-8 from Foster. I'm sorry, a 3. What was it? A 3. Now I'm getting confused because I went to the whiteout and now I don't remember what I did. It's bad when you get old. Now I remember it was a 4-8, and we went to the right-handed batter, and that was a walk. So Foster is correctly counted for a walk. Bench now correctly has his strikeout covering up the fly ball to center. I've got it straight now. We're going forward with 1 out and 1 on for Ken Griffey. And the roll is a 1-5 for Griffey against lefties. It's a double. Double to center field. It does not say anything about runner advancement as far as stars go. But if we look at Paul Blair in center field, he's a -1 on his arm rating. And with 1 out, they may not want to send Foster, who was being held. So if he's being held, he's down to a minus, I believe, 14. That's where he started. So I believe if he's being held, it's a -2, or it could be a -1. Check that real quick to make sure it's accurate. Runner advancement. Runner being held first, subtract 1 from his rating. So it's only a 1, not a 2. So he's actually going to be a 13 by being held. And Blair is a -1. That would make him a 12. So they got a 1 through 12 shot of scoring here to tie the game. And you know what? They're going to try it. 1 to 12. They're going to wave Foster around third. He needs a 1 to 12 to beat the throw. And he does it with a 5. So George Foster ties the ball game by being aggressive on the bases. Ken Griffey doubles him home. RBI double for Griffey, and we got a tie ball game at 1 apiece. And that'll bring up Merv Retman. Designated hitter. It is a 3-9. 3-9 off of a lefty is a single star. And the star means that Griffey will automatically score. And so Merv Retman with a single. And just like that, the Big Red Machine has grabbed a 2-1 lead off of McNally, who is struggling all of a sudden after pretty much controlling the first 4 batters. Here now is Concepcion. It's a 5-9. 5-9 is a fly ball to left. So Concepcion flies to Buford for out number 2. And that will bring up the number 9 hitter, Cesar Geronimo, or Cesar Geronimo, however you want to pronounce it. It is 3-10 against the lefty. 3-10 is a fly ball to right field. And that will end the inning as Geronimo flies out to Frank Robinson. But the Reds pick up 2 runs thanks to the double by Griffey and a single by Retman. And we go to the bottom of the second with the score, Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. Gary Nolan on the mound now with a 1-run lead. We'll be facing Brooks Robinson to start things off. Pitch to Brooks. It's a 4-4. 4-4 is a fly ball center field X, and that's Geronimo. He is a 1-rated center fielder. The roll is a 19, so that's an out when it's that high. So it's a fly to center for out number 1. That will now bring up the designated hitter, Dave May. And on the season, Dave May hit .242 for the Orioles. Primarily in his role against right-handers, he faced right-handed pitchers 89% of his at-bats. So his left side, you can see, is pretty much wasted. But he does have a pretty good column 3 here, if he can find it, and that's what Earl Weaver is hoping for. So here's Dave May against Gary Nolan. So 110. He didn't find his 3 column. He found his 1 column, and that's a ground ball to Morgan for out number 2. So quickly, 2 away. Nobody out for Davey Johnson. Davey Johnson, 2 out, space is empty. It's a 3-6. He found his 3 column, but didn't help. It's a fly ball to Foster and left. 3 up, 3 down. And after 2 complete, it's Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. And we're back to the top of the order for the Reds and Pete Rose. He grounded out to Belanger at short his first time up. See if he can do anything this time. Leading off, it's a 4-10 against McNally, and a right-hander. 4-10 is a catcher X. So Elrod Hendricks is a 4-rated catcher, which is not all that great, but with nobody on base, no chances for pass balls. So let's see here. It's a 12 So if we look at the catcher advanced fielding chart, a 4 and a number 12, that falls in the error range. 9 to 12 is his error range. And Hendricks has an error rating of only 1, so he didn't make many errors. So we go to the E1, and unless it's a 2 or a 3, he will make the play. So as long as it's not a 2 or a 3, he will make the play. It's an 8, so he made the play. It's a dribbler in front of the plate that Hendricks was able to pounce on and throw to first for out number 2. I'm sorry, for out number 1, and that'll bring up Joe Morgan. He singled and was caught stealing his first time up. It is a 6-8. 6-8 against lefty Morgan is a strikeout. So McNally with a strikeout. Okay, apologize, the little canine interruption with some barking. Somebody was outside and noise caused the dog to bark. So I didn't want that on video, so it paused, and now we're ready to go back. Morgan has just struck out for the second out of the inning, and now Tony Perez is the batter. Perez, a 2-6 against the lefty, is a strikeout. So he also struck out. So McNally comes back and strikes out Morgan and Perez, and that's no small feat. And we go to the bottom of the third, score still 2-1 Cincinnati. And Gary Nolan will be on the hill for the Reds for the third inning again. And he'll be facing the bottom portion of the order, Elrod Hendricks, Mark Belanger, and then the top of the order, Buford. Here's Elrod Hendricks. It's a 5-7. 5-7 is a fly ball to right fielder Griffey for out number 1. So other than a home run, Gary Nolan has not allowed anything. That'll bring up Mark Belanger, the number 9 hitter. It's a 2-4. And a 2-4 is a ground ball back to, I'm sorry, it's a 1-4. 2-4 is a pop out to Pete Rose. So he pops to Rose. Second time the Orioles have popped up to Rose because Buford did it to start the game. And now Buford is back. 2 out, space is empty. It is a 5-5. 5-5 is a ground ball to Morgan at second to end the inning. 3 up, 3 down. After 3 complete, score still Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. Top of the fourth, and Johnny Bench will lead things off. He struck out his first time up. That has now been corrected via the whiteout correction. So now, Bench with another chance against the lefty McNally. It is a 4-10. 4-10 off of a right-hander is a catcher X. So we're right back to Elrod Hendricks, who's a number 4 rated catcher. And, whoops, let's keep this on the clipboard if we can. It's a 19. 19 is a pop-out, pass ball, and foul out, but there is nobody on base, so it's simply a foul out. So Bench fouls out to his counterpart, Elrod Hendricks, out number 1, and that'll bring up George Foster. He walked and scored on the Griffey double, his only time up. It's a 6-10. 6-10 for McNally against the righty is a pop-out to Brooks Robinson. So Foster got under 1, 2 down, and that brings up Ken Griffey. Ken Griffey, it's a 1-4, and a 1-4 for Griffey against a lefty is a fly ball to right field. Frank Robinson makes the play, and the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom of the fourth with the score still Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. And Paul Blair will lead things off. He hit the home run to account for the only run so far for the Orioles. Here's Nolan to Blair. It's a 1-12. A 1-12. This time he lines out to Tony Perez at first. So a line out to Tony Perez for out number 1. And that will bring up Frank Robinson. He flied to center his first time up. Frank. It's a 5-3. 5-3 is a ground ball back to Nolan for out number 1, or out number 2, I should say. And that'll bring up Boog Powell. Boog Powell grounded out to Tony Perez his first time up. See what Boog can do. It's a 5-3. 5-3 against Nolan. 5-3. It's a ground ball to Tony Perez again, but this time with an X. whoops, 5-3. I'm in 6-3. 5-3, we'll get it straight, is another ground ball back to Nolan again. So consecutive ground balls back to the pitcher. And 3 up, 3 down. So we go to the 5th with the score still Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. And now that will bring up Dave McNally. It is a 5-8. 5-8 against the right-hander Redmond is a ground ball to third. So Redmond grounds to Brooks Robinson to start the 6th, or start the 5th rather, with 1 out. And that brings up Dave Concepcion. Fly to left his first time up. This time it's a 4-6. 4-6 is a split chance. He's got a chance for a double or a single. 1-5 would be that double. It is a 9, so the 9 is a single. So it's a single for Concepcion. Now he is an A stealer, so there's a chance here that we may have a stolen base attempt. He's an A stealer, which is going to make him, via the chart, a 1-15. An A stealer is a 1-15, so we're going to be using the 15, not the 17. We're going to be using the 15 because it's an A stealer. When you're an A stealer, you do have a reduction of 2. So again, we go from the 15 down to a 13 with the reduction of 2. It's a 13. Elrod Hendricks is a 0, so he doesn't affect it at all. It's a 1-13. And they're going to try it. 1-13. Concepcion going to try it. And he's out again. So with the roll of 17, he is caught stealing again as Elrod Hendricks guns it down to Belanger for out number 2. And the Reds are 0 for 2 on stolen bases thanks to a high roll on the D20. So 2 out, space is empty, and here's Geronimo. It's a 1-3. 1-3 for Geronimo is a line out to the shortstop Belanger to end the inning. So nothing doing for the Reds here in the 5th. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Score still Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. Gary Nolan on the mound. Start the bottom of the 5th against Brooks Robinson, and he flies to center his first time up. It's a 6-4, so against a right-hander, 6-4 is a catcher X, and Johnny Bench, being a 1-rated catcher, should be no problem. It's a 2, so we look at the catcher rating. Catcher rating for a number 1 and a number 2. It's a pass ball and a pop out, but there is no one on base, so the pass ball is irrelevant. It's simply a pop-up to Johnny Bench for out number 1, and that brings up Dave May. He grounded to Morgan his first time up. Orioles can't get anything going off Gary Nolan. It's a 4-6. 4-6 against a lefty. 4-6 is a ground ball to shortstop X. That is Concepcion. Concepcion is a number 1 rated shortstop. And he has rolled an 18, so anything that high for shortstop is going to be an out no matter what your rating is. 1-18 is a ground ball A, but anything 18 is going to be an out no matter how bad you are. So it's a 6-3 ground out for out number 2. And that brings up Davey Johnson with 2 outs and the bases empty. And the pitch is a 4-11. 4-11 is a ground ball back or over to first baseman Perez for the out. He'll take it 3 unassisted. 3 up, 3 down. We've completed 5 from neutral field, and it's Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 1. And top of the 6th, it'll be Dave McNally. Now for fatigue ratings for both pitchers, McNally is showing as a 7. And Nolan is shown as a 6. So Nolan, although he is only allowing 1 run, so he may be able to extend. So we shall see. But first things first, it's Pete Rose, the top of the order against McNally. He has grounded to short and tapped to the catcher Hendricks. It's a 2-6. 2-6 against a lefty. He's got a chance for a double here, 1-5 for a double. But most likely it's 6-20 for a single. So let's see what happens here. It's an 18, so that's going to be a single for Pete Rose. He will lead off the 6th inning with a single. He is a E stealer, so he's terrible stealing. That's where the steal thing really comes into play versus his run rating. If you look, his run rating, he's a 16, which is pretty good. But since he didn't steal a lot of bases, I don't know if he stole any bases, like maybe 1 or 2. He's an E stealing rating, which means he starts out at a 1 to 7 before you do any reductions at all. And an E rated player is a -4 in the book, so that knocks him down to a 3. So he would have to have a 1 to 3 to be safe. Ridiculously terrible odds, so he's not going anywhere. He's going to rely on Joe Morgan and Tony Perez to drive him in. So Joe Morgan is up. He's 1 for 2. And the pitch is a 4-8. 4-8 for McNally is a walk. So he has walked Joe Morgan. Puts the first 2 runners on base. Not a good idea with Tony Perez and Johnny Bench coming up. So Tony Perez with a chance to extend the lead here against McNally. It's a 5-6. 5-6 is a ground ball to shortstop A, so that's going to be a double play. 6-4-3. 6-4-3 double play for the 2 outs. Rose does go to third on the play, but that wipes out 2 base runners. There are now 2 outs with Rose at third and Johnny Bench the batter. Bench is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a pop-up to the catcher. It's a 5-7. 5-7 is a ground ball to Davey Johnson with an X. Davey Johnson is a 2-rated second baseman. The D20 roll is a 12, which probably puts him in the error range. We shall see. 12 does for second baseman. It does go to the error range. Johnson's an E14. So as we look at the chart for E14, we see that his error range is 3, 4, 5, 11, or 12. So he needs to avoid a 3, 4, 5, 11, or 12. 3, 4, 5, 11, or 12. It's a 6, so he did avoid it. The 6 is a ground ball A. So Bench grounds out 4-3. Rose is stranded at third, and what could have been a disastrous inning for McNally, he gets out of it. Score is still 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. And Gary Nolan the batter. And Gary Nolan, a 4-9. 4-9 for Gary Nolan against the left-handed Elrod Hendricks is a potential single. It's a 1 through 16 is a single. Anything else is a line out to short. It's a 7, so it's a base hit for Elrod Hendricks. He leads off with a single. And with the number 9 hitter Belanger coming up, they're going to have him bunt. He is a B-rated bunter, but since the Reds are ready for it, it's going to be a C. So he will be using column C on the advanced sacrifice chart. He'll be using column C. So let's see if Belanger can get it down. It's a 10. Could be bad. C and 10 says batter is safe, lead runner is thrown out by pitcher. So it's a fielder's choice. I guess one good thing is Belanger's a better base runner than Hendricks is. But it's a 1 to 6 fielder's choice that'll put Belanger at first instead of Hendricks. Hendricks was a 10 rated runner and Belanger's a 15 rated runner, so they get a faster base runner, but now there is 1 out and Don Buford the batter. And it's a 2-9 for Buford, and 2-9, well, there you go. 2-9, he's got a 1 to 3 chance for a triple, 4 to 20 for a double. 4 to 20 for a double. And he got the double. Now the question is, do they try to send Belanger with 1 out? He is being held, which would knock him down to a -1 from his running rating. His running rating was a 15. He's a -1, so that is a 14. And the double that was hit by Buford, the double, it did not say where it went, so it's assumed to center field, and we know that in center field, Geronimo has a cannon. He's got a -5 for an arm. So we go to Belanger. He's at a 14. The 5 arm knocks him down to a 9. So it would be a 1 through 9 chance. And if he's out, then you've got 2 outs and a runner at second. If you leave him there, you got 1 out and runner at second and third, so they're going to leave him there with only 1 out and runners at second and third. And we've got Paul Blair and Frank Robinson coming up. So the big hitters are coming up for the Orioles. They don't want to risk it against Geronimo. So there's 1 out and 2 on for Paul Blair. Blair, a 4-3. 4-3 is a fly ball right field X. This could potentially be a sacrifice fly if it's not a hit. Griffey in right field is a 3 rated right fielder. D20 roll shows a 19. So let's look at the chart for right fielders. A 3 rated right fielder, a number 19. Fly ball B, so the B means that is going to be a sacrifice fly, because if we go back to this chart, fly ball B, run on third scores, so it's a sacrifice fly for Paul Blair, and Mark Belanger will score to tie the ball game. Sacrifice fly to right field for out number 2, and we got a tie ball game with 2 outs. And now Frank Robinson, the batter, and Buford still at second base. So chance for the Orioles to grab the lead here. Robinson, it's a 4-7. 4-7 against Nolan is a split chance. He's only got a 1-3 chance for a single, but still a chance. Here's the pitch. It's a 16, so he lines out. Frank Robinson lines out to Joe Morgan to end the inning, but the Orioles do pick up that all-important run, and after 6 complete, we are tied at 2 apiece. Okay, as we start the 7th, we have double-barrel action in the bullpens. For Cincinnati, Will McEnany, the lefty, is going to be loosening in their Reds bullpen. And for the Orioles, right-hander Dick Hall is loosening up in their bullpen. So it's do or die, so they don't want to take a chance on starters struggling. And we're in the 7th, so the point of weakness could start to come into play. It'll be George Foster leading off the 7th against McNally. And he gets a 2-7. 2-7 against a lefty. It's a ground ball to Brooks Robinson at third. So there's 1 away. 5-3 ground out. 1 down, and that'll bring up Ken Griffey. And Griffey had that big double back in the 2nd to give the Reds their first run. It's a 1-8. 1-8 for Griffey against a lefty is a strikeout. So McNally with the strikeout. And he is doing what Earl Weaver had hoped he would do, being left-handed, try to neutralize some of those left-handed hitters for the Reds. Here's Merv Retman. 2 outs, base is empty. It's a 4-9. 4-9's a fly ball to Frank Robinson in right field. And 3 up, 3 down go the Reds here in the 7th. 7th inning stretch time from neutral field. It is Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 2. And Gary Nolan may be done. We'll go take a look and see if Sparky is going to the mound. We're going to see if he sticks with Nolan or whether he makes the move. Okay, so Captain Hook, as he's known, has gone and made the move to his pen. And he's brought out his lefty reliever, Will McEnany. Will McEnany is on, with Boog Powell leading off here in the bottom of the 7th. The line on Nolan was very good. 6 innings, 3 hits, gave up 2 runs. They were all earned. Gave up that home run to Blair. Unusual line that he didn't walk anybody and he didn't strike anybody out, so everything was put into play. But he went through 6 innings, gave up just the 2 runs, certainly gave his team a chance. And now we're tied at 2 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. And Boog Powell. Sorry there, sipping a cup of coffee. Okay, Boog Powell, lefty on lefty against against McEnany, I should say. Right now we got McNally for the Orioles and McEnany for the Reds, so I got to keep myself straight here. It's a 2-2. So Boog Powell, 2-2 against a lefty, is a ground ball back to the pitcher. So it's ground ball back to McEnany. 1 away. And that brings up Brooks Robinson. He's 0 for 2. Fly to center and pop to the catcher bench. It's a 2-6. 2-6 is a split chance. 1-5 for a single. Anything else he lines to Rose. So he's looking to a 1-5. He didn't get it. He got a 17. So he lines to Pete Rose for out number 2. And now Dave May, the scheduled designated hitter, but he will be called back. And it's schizophrenia time because Merv Retman's going to move into DH for the Orioles. He is already DHing for the Reds, so he is pulling double duty. Or they could use Kurt Moten. Let's see. Actually, you know what? They're going to use Kurt Moten. They're going to use Kurt Moten as a DH because they may need Retman in the outfield. And so they're going to go with Moten. Moten hit .303 on the year. So they're going to let Moten hit as the DH and not go through the schizophrenia of having split personalities of Retman. So he pinch hits in the 7th and will stay in the game to play as the DH. So Kurt Moten DHing against McEnany. It's a 2-9. 2-9 is a ground ball back to the pitcher. So Moten unsuccessful. And just out of curiosity, I'll check the card for Merv Retman to see what he may have done as a pinch hitter on a roll of 2-9 against the lefty. 2-9 against the lefty, he would have struck out. So either way, did not happen. Did not work out for them. The inning is over, and we go to the 8th inning with the score still tied at 2. And now McNally will be pulled as Earl Weaver will go to his bullpen, and right-hander Dick Hall will come in to pitch. And we'll be right back with the totals on McNally in just a minute. Okay, solid outing for McNally. He went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, both were earned, walked 4, struck out 2. And now Dick Hall, the right-handed reliever, will be in to face Concepcion, Geronimo, and Morgan. So let's see what Hall does with Concepcion. It's a 5-4. 5-4 is a catcher X. So we're back to Elrod Hendricks. D20 is a 10, which might fall in the error range. And it does. 9 to 12 is an error range. So the error rating on Hendricks, like we said, is only a 1. So as long as he doesn't roll a 2 or a 3, he will be okay. So anything other than a 2 or 3, he'll make the play. It's an 8. He made the play. So Elrod Hendricks, not much range, but he is sure-handed. So he made the play on Concepcion. And there's one away. Cesar Geronimo, the center fielder, is up. He's 0 for 2. He is fly to right and line to short. It's a 4-7. 4-7 against a lefty is a strikeout. So Dick Hall disposes of Geronimo for 2nd out. And we're back to the top of the order. And Pete Rose, he singled his last time up, but was stranded at 3rd. It's a 5-8. 5-8 is a ground ball to second base X. That's Davey Johnson. Johnson is rated as a 2 second baseman. Whoops, let's keep this on the table. Try again. It's a 17, so anything that high is going to be an automatic ground out. And the inning's over. So we go to the bottom of the 8th. Still 2-2 ball game. Will McEnany is in. And McEnany will be facing Davey Johnson to start the festivities here in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th. But warming up in the Reds bullpen is Pedro Borbon, right-hander. So Pedro Borbon, in case McEnany starts to falter, righty Pedro Borbon is in the bullpen. So Davey Johnson will start things off here against McEnany, who's in his 2nd inning of work. He went through a 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. Here is the pitch. It's a 1-6 for Davey Johnson against McEnany. 1-6 against a lefty is a walk. So Davey Johnson draws a leadoff walk. And now that'll bring up Elrod Hendricks, lefty on lefty matchup. And he's also not a very good bunter. So we could see a pinch hitter here. See if anybody on the Oriole bench is a proficient bunter. Bobby Floyd's a B bunter, so that's pretty good. Merv Retman's a B bunter, but you don't want to waste him on a bunt. You'd rather have him hit. So it looks like they're going to make the move here, pull the trigger, and we're going to get a pinch hitter for the specific duties of bunting. And that's going to be Bobby Floyd. He will pinch hit here to bunt. So he's going to bunt, and then Andy Etchebarren is going to take over as the catcher in the 9th inning. So I'll make a note here, there's not enough room on the score sheet, that Floyd pinch hit for Hendricks. Bottom 8. Okay, and then Etchebarren will be the new catcher. And if we fill in the ratings on Etchebarren, he is a 3 rated catcher. He makes an error rating of 3. His arm is a -1. And he's got a speed of 9. Okay, so Bobby Floyd is up to do the bunting here. He's, like you said, a B bunter. Of course, the Reds are expecting it, so he's now a C bunter. So we'll roll the 2 D6s and check the column C and see if he's able to get the bunt down. It's a 7. Column C, number 7. Batter is thrown up by first baseman, runners advance. So Perez fielded that bunt through to Morgan covering. So it is a sacrifice hit, 3-4 for the out. And Davey Johnson does move up to second base. And Bobby Floyd did his job. That'll bring up Mark Belanger. Now Belanger is stepping to the plate against the lefty McEnany. And let's see if they're going to let him. Yep, they're going to let him face They're going to let McEnany face Belanger. So here we go. Runner at second, 1 out. And whoops, let's re-roll that. That went off the table there. Okay, it's a 4-7. 4-7 against a righty for McEnany is a strikeout. Strikeout, as he had not faced his, or has not reached his point of weakness yet. So that is a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for, strikeout number 1 for McEnany for the second out. That's where the 2 was coming from. Here's Buford. He doubled his last time up to help the Orioles tie the game. It's a 2-7. 2-7 is a ground ball back to the pitcher McEnany to end the inning. And we've completed 8 here at neutral field, still tied at 2. Okay, we do have bullpen action for both teams. We have Raleigh Eastwick, the closer for the Reds. He's warming up in the bullpen. And lefty Pete Rickard is warming up in the Oriole bullpen, along with right-hander Eddie Watt. So they have both pitchers going in case they need the right matchup for a lefty-righty. But right now it's Dick Hall. He'll be facing the left-hander Joe Morgan to start off the 9th, tied at 2. Here is the pitch. It's a 5-6. 5-6 is a strikeout. So Dick Hall with a big strikeout on Joe Morgan to start the 9th. 1 away. And now 2 right-handed hitters coming up, Tony Perez and Johnny Bench. It's a 2-6. 2-6 for Perez is a strikeout. So Dick Hall, seeing the pitchers in the bullpen, maybe got motivated and said, "You're not taking me out." There's 2 up, 2 down very quickly for Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench. 1-6. 1-6 is a single to right field. So Johnny Bench with a 2-out single. And that will bring up George Foster. George Foster is up with Griffey on deck. And if Foster reaches, then Rickard will come in to face Griffey. But first things first, Foster has to reach. It's a 6-7. And a 6-7 is a fly ball to right to end the inning. So a fly ball to Frank Robinson in right field will end it. We go to the bottom of the 9th, chance to win it for the Orioles. Score is Cincinnati 2 and Baltimore 2. And we've got a new pitcher for the Reds. Since they did not take the lead, they are thinking about Pedro Borbon. But then again, they don't want to lose with Raleigh Eastwick still in the bullpen. So we'll be back for this pitching change in just a moment. Okay, so Will McEnany, his line, 2 innings pitched, nothing doing, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Raleigh Eastwick, the de facto closer, is in, even though it's not a save situation. But Sparky Anderson realizes with the Orioles having their 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming up, he wants the best he can get out there. And he does not want to lose the game with Eastwick in the bullpen. So, that all being said, Paul Blair will lead things off against Raleigh Eastwick. It's a 3-7, and a 3-7 is a ground ball to second base. So 1 away as Blair grounds to Joe Morgan. As we could have extra innings here. Frank Robinson, the batter. And the pitch to Robinson's a 5-7. 5-7 is a strikeout. So a strikeout for Frank Robinson for out number 2. And that'll bring up Boog Powell. Last chance before we go to extra innings. It'll be Boog Powell. He's 0 for 3. It's a 4-6. 4-6 is a walk. So Boog Powell draws a 2-out walk. And that will bring Brooks Robinson to the plate. Powell certainly is a slow runner, but you're not going to pinch run for him in this situation. So here is Robinson. It's a 5-5. And maybe they should have, but it's a double. It's potential double. It would be a star, so no matter what the running rating is, he's going to have to stop at third. So the pinch running would not have made a difference. A 1 to 3 is a double. Anything else is a single. It's an 8, so it's a single for Brooks Robinson. And since it's a star single, Boog Powell does get to third somehow. He chugs over to third. Runners are at the corners. And now, interesting situation, Kurt Moten is up because he had pinch hit for Dave May. And they could go to another pinch hitter if need be. Don't know who that would be right now. It looks like they're going to stick with Moten, righty on righty. They don't have any other lefties on the bench. So Moten's going to have to see if he can't pull this out. He does have a good column 3 against right-handers. So we will see. Raleigh Eastwick against Kurt Moten. 2 outs, runners at the corners. Bottom of the 9th, tied at 2. It's a 4-6. 4-6 is a potential game winner. It's going to come down to a D20 roll. 1 to 8 is a single, and the game will be over. 9 to 20 is a line out. So 1 to 8, and we've got a walk-off. Anything else, it's a line out. It's a 5. It's a walk-off single for Kurt Moten. He has done it off of Raleigh Eastwick. And the Orioles of 1969 have done it again. They have defeated the Cincinnati Reds, and they did it against their best, Raleigh Eastwick. It's the best they had to offer. But they got, and all this with 2 outs and nobody on. It started with a 2-out walk to Powell, and then Robinson single and a Moten single. And that was all she wrote. 2 hits came in, and he walked 1. Did strike out 1, but he gave up that key run. And just like that, the winning pitcher is Dick Hall, who went 2 innings of shutout ball. But we'll be right back to recap this game and give you the totals in just a moment. Okay, let's get to you the totals to this game. For the Orioles, 3 runs on 5 hits, no errors. They left 4 on base. For the Reds, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left 3 on base. Winning pitcher was Dick Hall with 2 innings of shutout relief. And the losing pitcher was Raleigh Eastwick, who came in the bottom of the 9th and gave up the walk and 2 hits. And that's going to do it for this game. No really great, outstanding players other than the pitchers. The starting pitchers, Nolan and McNally, as well as McEnany and Hall. So everyone other than Eastwick really pitched well. And as there were no offensive outbursts, as you can see by the total of only 11 runs for both teams combined. So with that victory for the Orioles, they are the first team to move into the Elite Eight. And with that victory, they will be taking on the winner of the game between the 1988 Los Angeles Dodgers and the 1984 Detroit Tigers. And what it also did, by Cincinnati not winning, it spoiled a potential Sparky Bowl 3 matchup between the Tigers and the Reds. So Sparky loses out with the Cincinnati Reds, but he's still hanging in there with his 84 Tigers. Merv Retman is out with the Cincinnati Reds, but he's still in it with the Orioles. So Retman may very well get to play in this next game. But that'll be the next matchup for them. They'll be waiting the winner of the Tigers and the Dodgers. And when they go to that next round game, Jim Palmer will be their starter in that one. So that's going to do it from here. I hope everybody enjoyed that first round game, the first game of Sweet 16. It was certainly a good one. That's why I decided to do it on video. I thought it would be a good one. Nice close pitcher's duel that came down to the wire and ended in a walk-off from unlikely hero Kurt Moten with the 2-out RBI single on a split roll. And can't get much more exciting than that, or much more drama than that in this game, to have it come down to a split roll in the D20. So that's it from here. Hope everybody has a great day, and we'll catch you for more Sweet 16 action.